Thomas's Christmas party. Mrs. Kindly lives in a cottage by the railway. Mrs. Kindly loves trains and waves when they go by, and once when she was ill in bed, she saved Thomas from an accident. The Fat Controller sent her to Bournemouth to get well. Thomas and Toby missed her greatly and looked forward to welcoming her home again. Toby saw her first. Beep, 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 he whistled. There's Mrs. Kindly, and happily rang his bell. His driver, fireman, and all the passengers waved to welcome her home. Thomas was pleased too. His trains were heavy at Christmas time. I can't do it, he panted sometimes. But Mrs. Kindly cheered him on. Oh, yes, I can, he would puff bravely, forgetting the hard work. Thomas had never forgotten how she saved him from an accident and always wanted to thank her properly. Toby agreed with him, and so did the drivers and firemen. Let's give her a party at Christmas, they said. What can we hold? Where can we hold it? They wondered. Our shed's much too small, and there's no room for anyone else when we're inside. But Thomas's driver wouldn't give up. Let's try Tidmouth, he said. I'm sure the big engines would like a party in their grand new shed. We'll ask when we get there tonight. The big engines were delighted, and so were their drivers and firemen. We'd like that, they said. The party would be fun. We'll ask the Fat Controller tomorrow. A party for Mrs. Kindly, said the Fat Controller. What a good idea, Thomas's. Let me see. We've no trains on Christmas or Boxing Day. We all want Christmas Day at home, of course, so Boxing Day will be best. So they made an invitation card. Thomas, Toby and friends request the pleasure of the company of Mr. and Mrs. Kindly at a party at the new engine shed, Tidmouth, on Boxing Day at 5 p.m. RSVP Sir Topham Hatt, Wellsworth, Sodor. Thomas and Toby were there with the big engines in Tidmouth's shed for Christmas, while Annie, Clarabelle and Henrietta joined the other coaches in theirs. They were looking forward to the party and were so warm and snug that they'd quite forgotten the weather outside until the Fat Controller came bursting in. The weather's changed, he called. It's snowing hard at Farquhar. Mr. and Mrs. Kindly are cut off. We'll need snowplows to fetch them tomorrow. What about Thomas, said Fat Controller. He knew that Thomas hated snow. Thomas said bravely, I'll try, sir. We must rescue them. We must. Can I help, sir, said Toby. That's a good engine, said Mr. Fat Controller. You two will manage splendidly. Early next morning, Thomas and Toby were both fitted with snowplows, and they arranged back to back with a van carrying workmen coupled between them. They charged the snowdrifts fiercely, and sometimes they were swept the snow aside, and sometimes they stuck fast. And when they got stuck, they drew back so the men in the van could loosen the hard-packed snow, and then they went on again. It was hard and tiring work for everybody. Look at the cutting near the cottage. They could go no further. Look at that, said Thomas's fireman. Peep, peep, here we are, whistled Thomas. The snow was so deep around the house, the answer came from the upstairs window. Toot, 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 so are we, came from behind the cottage. That's Terence, said Thomas excitedly. He's come to help too. Sure enough, Terence also had a snowplough and was working hard to clear the road. The two parties made to make a plan. Terence's gang promised to clear the snow from round the house, while the gang dug a path from the house to the line. Meanwhile, at Tidmouth, Henrietta was being swept, dusted and decorated as never before. She looked very proud of herself, and when she was ready, Percy, who had also been given a snowplough, took her to Elsbridge to wait for Thomas and Toby. Presently, Thomas and Toby arrived. They had a good rest and a clean-up, and then they scampered up the line with Henrietta to fetch Mr. and Mrs. Kindly, while Percy took the workmen back to the Tidmouth in their van. It was dark when they finally reached Tidmouth, and the shed doors were shut, and there was dead silence, and no one was about. Peep, 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 they whistled despairingly. Where is everyone? Suddenly a chorus of whistles and cheers came from inside the shed. Lights in the yard flashed on, and the shed doors slowly opened. Merry Christmas hung in coloured lights inside. Sir Topham and Lady Hatt welcomed Mr. and Mrs. Kindly, and everyone gave them 3 cheers. Mrs. Kindly asked at once to see the engines. We're honoured, said Gordon, Henry and Edward. Then Mrs. Kindly especially thanked the smaller engines. Thomas and Toby are old friends, she said, and now to Percy, you're my friend too. Percy was so pleased he bubbled over. 3 cheers for Mrs. Kindly, he called. Peep, 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 and they all whistled. The Fat Controller held his ears, but everyone else laughed and joined in. Meanwhile, the Christmas tree had been rolled into position, ready for the carol singing to begin. They sang all their old favourites till their voices gave out, and then they were refreshed with hot coffee and mince pies, and they pulled crackers and played games and had a perfectly splendid time, till all too soon it was time for the party to end. Ladies and gentlemen and engines, said the Fat Controller, we're here to honour a gracious lady who last Christmas did our railway a good service. We all hope, Mrs. Kindly, that you will accept this free travel pass over our railway. May you have a long life and good health to enjoy it. Cheers followed, and to the strains of "For she's a jolly good fellow, for she's a jolly good fellow, for she's a jolly good fellow, so sing all of us," punctuated by whistles, Sir Topham Hatt and Lady Hatt took Mr. and Mrs. Kindly away to stay with them at Welsford till the weather improved. The last guests left, and the doors of the shed were closed. "What a lovely party," said Edward. "Thank you, Thomas, Toby and Percy." "And so say all of us," hummed Gordon, but no one finished the song. Tired and happy, they were all fast asleep, which is what you need to be now. Good night and God bless.